I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, or D&D 5e, for over a year now, and I've noticed that I have a few guidelines that I like to follow whenever I create a character and play the game. So I want to name a few tips for people like me who are still just getting into D&D. Keep in mind that these are mostly personal opinions. When creating a character, no matter what the class is, I always try to make it so that the constitution is no lower than 14. In this way, you ensure that your character won't get taken out so easily during combat. And this can apply whether you're rolling for your ability scores or using the variant point buy system. And the hit points you gain over levels can accumulate rather quickly over time. As a side note, I prefer to not roll for my hit point gain whenever I gain a level, and instead use the average just as they do in Adventurers League, because the potential risk is just not worth it. Personally, I prefer playing characters that have high wisdom, such as clerics or druids, but Constitution is my second most important stat. Next, I try to pick a race that has dark vision. Usually for me this is elves or half-elves, because in most of the games I play, I'm usually forced into a situation where I have limited vision and light, and trying to create a light source would either take too much time or potentially interfere if I'm trying to stealth. An exception would be playing a human, because that way I get a feat, or playing as a halfling because they have a lucky ability. Both of these features, I believe, are enough to compensate for the lack of dark vision. On a slightly related note, I try to always use either light or medium armor in order to prevent disadvantage to stealth checks, because individual or group stealth checks are hard enough as it is without having to impose disadvantage on your rolls. If I'm not playing a wisdom-based character, dexterity is usually my most important stat. Whenever I have the choice to pick an additional language proficiency, I usually end up choosing either Primordial, Undercommon, Giant, or Draconic, because in my experience, I've encountered monsters that speak only those certain languages the most. My last piece of advice are more general. Don't get mad and harass others just because you got a few bad rolls. It happens to all of us, including me. Don't get into a fight with your DM when they do damage to your character, unless they do average damage, in which case try to see if they're willing to roll for damage instead. This also includes accepting the DM's decision whenever you and a monster's initiatives are tied, and the enemy gets to go first. Sometimes it can help to have a lower initiative to see and assess which enemies are the most potentially dangerous. Whenever you roll to attack, roll the damage dice at the same time. A personal strategy I like to use is to use the same colored dice for attack and damage, especially in cases where you have to make several attack rolls. The easiest solution is to buy sets of dice according to their colors. Finally, try to be respectful and patient to all other players, especially people who are new and just getting into the game. If there's a serious issue with one of the players, talking with the DM first before confronting him or her directly can help.